So, welcome back. We are going to be talking to Dr. Shahid again. And this time it will be even more interesting discussion because we are going to talk about artificial intelligence. We're going to talk about how it influences or has influenced the practice of medicine. We're also going to talk about 3D printer. So it's not like a regular printer, and Dr. Shahid will be able to tell you a little bit more about it and how it can be of amazing significance in future of medicine. And then we will talk about the future of neurosurgery. So let's bring Dr. Shahid back. So, Dr. Shahid, tell us about Watson, not Mr. Watson, but the Watson, you know who I am talking about,
Yes.
and artificial
So
intelligence.
I'm going to tell you in America, Watson is starting to play a role in management of the patients. And obviously, IBM wants to make money, so they lease out time on Watson, whether it's once a week or. So they started a program 3 or 4 years now with working with Sloan Kettering's Cancer Center. And in 3 years, they have amassed an incredible volume of knowledge. Every patient's entire workup and entire history that Watson analyzes, compares it. So if you don't know, every single article that is published in medicine goes into Watson every day. So the amount of millions of articles that are being published are analyzed, different languages doesn't make a difference. And what they're coming up with is algorithms based on side effects, based on complications, and what in particular person's DNA analysis and sequencing will be the best treatment from the point of view of chemotherapies. And that is revolutionizing because that takes away the toxicity of the drugs, that brings in the safety of the drug. So basically, it is artificial intelligence that is starting to make an impact in medicine. So if I don't know, for younger people, there used to be a book that we call the differential diagnosis. There was a book about specifically looking at symptoms of vomiting. What are the different causes of vomiting?
Yes.
And headache. So everything that was different. So medical school, that was one of the books that I used to go to the library to look at that.
Yes.
You don't need that now.
Yes.
You can put it in uptime. You can put all of those things. And that's what Watson has done. Nobody has the knowledge. We are, as a surgeon, or as a medicine person, you are proud to recall articles, or you can quote that. You can probably do it 10, not 100.
Yes. Yes.
And that's where artificial intelligence is coming. So if you're in ICU, you have an unusual case, you can get that information to find that one unique case which you will be struggling and not reminding it, and Watson will spit it out for you and will tell you. And that's the debate, is that how much that should be utilized for training people to use that information to improve the quality of care. And to me, that's what's going to change, because no human being can keep up with the technology is advancing, and the amount of exclusive testing that is being done from an
Right.
engineer point of view, and how will that impact on particular care of that person. So I think that it is an expensive so it's happening in America, but I think it has to go all over the world for the people to know that this is something they can do that. And I'll give you an example. One of my patients worked as a senior VP from IBM and working in China. So he was trying to break the Chinese. Chinese wanted to know the source, so they wanted to do it. This is no. So he brought in high tech chairmen of the boards of big companies for China to the headquarters of IBM in Somers, and gave him a demonstration of its powerful reutilization of investments. He says, give me your 5 companies that you want to know that you want to invest. And they gave him, and they that Watson spit out everything that you wanted to know. What happened in the past, what's happening in now, and what's the future forecasted for it. They were blown away what they saw. And that's is just one example where AI is making a difference
Right.
in the financial investment community, because no analyst can analyze more than it can
Right.
give you that information. And the same thing is happening in medicine.
Exactly. So I'm going to just mention now you brought up Watson. So I was just listening somewhere that there's a program in that you may have seen, Jeopardy, if I'm
Yes, yes,
pronouncing it right.
yes.
So
Jeopardy.
Jeopardy. So they brought Watson, and the
Oh, he
Watson.
played against Jennings.
Yes, yes,
Jennings was their unbeaten champion.
yes.
Tell
And
them
you,
what happened.
yeah, so yeah, you know the story. So the Watson, as we were talking, I mean, Watson can review like 8 million pages in 2 seconds. So 8 million pages in 2 3 seconds, how could somebody beat that Watson? So that is where we are heading. I mean, and it is not that it is going to replace humans, and that we talked about it, because humans are very smart. I tell you, humans are the smartest machine that have ever been made. So what they do is they just keep delegating. So they keep like unloading things to the machine, to the computer, and then they go to a different level of like learning and like managing or doing things. So that's what we are doing. We are just kind of assigning jobs to the machines so that we can be like a good doctors. I mean, so think about it, that when machine helps you, you could really be more human with the patient.
So come on, just think about it. When you were a medical student or a junior officer, you looked at your chairman or the professor for his guidance, right?
Right.
Because what from what? Because he had a bank of knowledge
Knowledge.
from his experience, right? So
So
what are you doing now is you are doing the same thing. All your unusual cases, you put it in, and what it spits out, that will remember in your memory. But if
right.
there's a variance, you know how to reprogram or search it further out and to do that. So it has to be, most of us used to carry books in our
Pocket.
laptops, okay?
Yes.
Pocketbooks. Of
Remember.
what? No, it's your iPhone that will do that for you.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so that's where the technology is. I mean, you can be in Rawalpindi and you can search the database sitting anywhere in America
Bilkul.
to look at it and get an instantaneous Google answer in a minute.
That's very, very true. Very true.
But that's all AI. That's
Yeah.
what's playing a role in this. And I think that we don't have to be afraid of it, that one day they'll be ruling it. They will never rule it. It's you who will rule that. You still will have the control over it. They will develop. I mean, Alexa will develop what your voice is and what you want to hear. And she's background is constantly hearing.
Exactly.
It's constantly hearing everything. And so, yes, they have a way of listening in, and whether that gets dissipated or whether how you block it. But Alexa is also artificial intelligence.
Definitely. Yes. So I feel that again, it's a double-edged sword. So we have uh, a lot of good things from artificial intelligence, but as we were talking the other day, that it also depends upon what kind of data that you're feeding to the machine, and that's what it spits. So if we are giving a very good like data to the artificial intelligence, then we will get good result. It's all algorithms. So everything is like decision making tree.
But it's faster. There's, I mean, millions of compartmentalization of information that feeds in.
Right.
And that's the computer's job, is how to search it and come it out and collate it together and give you an answer, which a human mind cannot do that.
Cannot do that. Exactly. So let's move to the even more interesting question or topic of 3D printing, and tell us a little bit about 3D printing and its possible role in future in neurosurgery?
Well, 3D printing is being utilized right now for tissue cultures and developing from tissues organs.
Mhm.
Are developing. So there are certain developments that are taking place, and then they can basically create a bone, but it is obviously a bone from a not a human being to do that. But recently, a very good friend of mine, who was a very strong IT person, developed part of the internet highway across the world with worked with IBM. So he got himself a second generation of 3D printer.
Mhm.
And he sent me pictures. He started with it because I've been friends with him and took care of him. And he created the left brain.
Wow.
It took him 96 hours, but I will share with you that picture because I was blown away by this picture. And I'll show you the initial piece of what it was like
Yes.
and what the outcome was and what a 3D printer is. So let me just see if it will project well. So you can see it
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to put that, it's a video.
Oh, so it is creating the whole.
Yes. So you can see how these cell sites are developing.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'll show you something else. This was how it started. And this is what it was like in,
Yeah.
so it still has some support mechanism itself,
Right.
which he said he didn't know that he didn't need to use that.
Hmm.
And so he worked on it, got that done, and then he sent me the final picture, which, believe me, it's like a true brain.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
Look at it.
Yep.
No human man with his hand can make that.
Yes. So, and that is going to be true for just not brain. I mean, heart can be made.
Well, they will probably create transplant tissues with that.
Right. Exactly.
That's what I think is going to happen with that. So 3D printer in medicine is going to play a role, definitely.
Yes. And yeah, very true. And again, we share quite a few things as we discussed earlier. I'm on a project with our team that is going to launch artificial intelligence and 3D printing projects in Pakistan with some very talented people in Pakistan who are from Harvard, and they went to Harvard, and now they are in Pakistan, and they're interested in developing something really exciting. And right now it is the, again, as we were saying, the world is a village, so you don't need to have people just in one place. You can have people in 10 different places, and then they can all get together and form a team, and then you can execute something. So that is what I think our strength is nowadays, and hopefully will really make a difference, a big difference, in hopefully in our lifetimes. And it is not impossible, and it would have been impossible 10 years ago, but not now.
I believe it'll be in our lifetime.
Yes,
But
inshallah.
the speed of development
Right.
is really incredible. The only important thing is really how do you bring widely disparate people working towards a common goal, whether they're working in China or they're
Yeah.
working in Russia. I mean, look what Chinese have done going to the space and on the moon,
Right.
and they did it independently. So they have brilliant minds all over, and
Yeah.
it's just a question of how you expose that.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a simple example of that. I don't know whether you came across the story about a 10-year-old boy from, I think he's Ethiopian. He came as an immigrant,
Hmm.
did not know a word of English. The parents didn't know the word. The father worked, and they got into the school. At the age of 10, he's now becoming one of the grand chess masters.
Wow. That's amazing.
And the one of the Russian chess master who lives in America now, he said, "This is that the mind, the genius stays is all over the world. The question is, how do you give the chance for that
Chance.
mind to
Exactly.
expand?"
Exactly.
And he was discovered at the age of 7 that he has a knack to play chess.
Yeah.
And then he got picked up. That he was by the time in ninth and 10th grade, private school wanted him to pay for his fee to come to their schools.
Yes. Wow.
So this is why I
That's
say that
amazing.
Pakistan has the mind, has the talent. The question is, how do you give them the opportunities to grow?
Definitely. And you may have heard of this law. It's called law of multiples. And I don't know if it is a real law, but what it says is that in any given era, you have many people thinking of exactly the same things from different part of the world. So what it is that you may say, oh my god, how could this guy come up with the same idea as I did? So it is called law of multiples because people have the same environment, and they have the same human brain. So they
Right.
kind of start thinking on the same lines, and then they come up with something similar. So right now, if we join these people or get these brains together, then we can make a
Yeah.
really big difference.
I mean, find a way of becoming conduit,
Can't exactly.
to amalgamate the different minds and how you
Right,
stimulate them, and at least for them to have a way to reach out to us to ask what they really want.
right. But you and I talked about another law, law of universal attraction, that
Yeah,
if you really have your heart set in, that you want to do something with all your heart, not for money, not for just for something big, then people come along. Then you will find people from everywhere coming and helping you achieve that goal. And I really strongly believe that there's a supreme being that really channels or guide people into certain ways, or in certain ways, to make them do something big together.
right.
And that's why I think you and I are talking today.
You
And
know, I felt long time ago what my calling was, and I pursued that as a calling. And now I feel I have a different calling that I have to do. And that's the calling of how do I help the people who gave me the
yes,
opportunity to reach this place where
this
I am in
place.
my life. Yes.
Definitely, most definitely. Again, I think that is why we are not going to just end after this program. I mean, you and I will go a long way, and we will uh, really bring something good to Pakistan, and maybe more under resourced countries. So I really believe in humanity. So yeah, nationalism is important, but I think we should do thing with a big heart, like so that anybody anywhere in the world can benefit from it.
Qamar, you said it so well. There's a leading article this morning about a transplant in
Mhm.
Israel at the Hadassah Hospital, which is one of the main biggest hospital in
Yeah.
Israel. This transplant occurred for a woman who was on peritoneal dialysis for 12 years.
Mhm.
The kidney was given by a Jewish man who died as a result of injuries suffered from Palestinians.
Mhm.
The surgeon who transplanted the kidney was a Palestinian at the hospital, the chief surgeon.
Okay.
Okay. When she woke up and she was told, she said, how could my people do this to him? They lived together in the same community. He said,
Yeah.
my children grew up from there. I don't understand why. And but the man's brother's wishes was that if she matches, this will be her life work, his life work to complete it.
Wow.
So that's what you talk about humanity.
Yeah. That's a very, very
It was one of the most
heartwarming,
powerful,
very powerful,
yeah.
very powerful, very powerful. So, last but not the least, tell us about the future of neurosurgery and neuroplasticity that we talked about.
Oh my God,
And just
that's
yes,
the new frontier.
yeah, new frontier. But we have
That's the
to.
new
I
frontier.
I know that you can tell us everything about it in 5 minutes.
Where it is being expanded into is really vision.
Yes.
Hearing is already way in advance for children who are born deaf. They get implants, cochlear implants by the age of 2. So they're brought up more normally. Their voice is normal. They are being educated that way. But what's happening is, what about the strokes, which causes paralysis or loss of function inside? So what is being now developed is a electrical grid, which is for the neuroplastic brain to stimulate to see if they can get the function going the other side of the body, which had suffered the damage. And whether that will then advance towards people who are paralyzed from neck down or that. So there's a lot of research going on towards that. Obviously, it's not going to be a human brain transplant. It's not going to be a spinal cord transplant, but it is how to bridge that gap. How do you get the synapses to attach to each other?
Right.
And it's that electrical sensations are being utilized, and they can now doing it. So a paralyzed hand, they can stimulate the hand to move and then train it.
Wow.
So that technology is in use, is being developing more and more. A lot of the work has been done on the soldiers, the veterans who got injured in the wars in Afghanistan and coming back from there. So then to see how these limbs can work. So that's the cutting edge new development in rehabilitation medicine and in neurosurgeries.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. So yeah, I mean, on a lighter note, I will end this very interesting program. At least I found it very interesting, and I loved talking to you and hearing your views about such interesting and amazing technology and ideas. Our brain. So we had all these hospital, and then now it's in our palm, like in the form of a cell phone. So now future is like that, maybe something is going to go into our, like, close to our brain, and maybe a chip may be implanted that we can consult with that chip, just like we are consulting with our like phone. Is that a possibility, or it's just a
I don't know.
sci-fi movies?
Right now, they implant a chip under your skin to identify as a soldier.
Yes, yes.
So, but whether chips will become part of it, Americans are very dubious about any technology that takes away their individualism.
Yes, that is true. But whatever you can imagine, this is my belief.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever you can imagine, you can achieve.
So, if you read any of the Jules Verne's novels, 2,000 or 20,000 feet under the sea, or if you read any of those, or the Asimov's novels about travels and the future, they're coming back true.
Yes, yes,
So
yes,
it is the imagination that
yeah,
triggers people's mind to do something
yes,
towards that.
yes, yes. That is very true.
So
Very,
I have learned one thing, that even though some of these futuristic films and others, but it's a brainchild of some person who's thinking about that,
definitely.
that this can happen. And whether we will travel our own flying machines, or whether you will have your own backpack, jetpack that you can be flying, which is there right now, part of it, and how you play it out. So yeah, you don't discount the human mind.
Great. So, well, I will wrap up, and thank you for watching the program. In the end, I would like to thank our guest, Dr. Shahid, and for coming and sharing your views. And hope you enjoyed watching Coffee with Qamar, and hope you can come back again with us. And we will meet again with another guest next time with some more interesting topics and ideas. So, with that, goodbye and stay safe.